This is a very special occasion, not only because it's the National Startup Day, perhaps it's one of those rare moments when we see the brightest of mind in the startup space who are going to make a difference in the world and who have been making a difference in the world come together in one room and are breathing the same air. So this is what the power of collaboration is and coming together is. And this is a special occasion where we are actually celebrating the success of startups. The success of startups is rare. In fact, the success rate is around 10 to 15% universally, and around 90 to 85 to 90% don't succeed. It doesn't mean that they don't succeed in the first attempt, but the attempts keep on continuing continuously. Now the biggest challenge today is that we have not been singing the stories of these successes. So unless we sing the stories of these successes, how are we going to inspire the next set of generations of entrepreneurs? Because entrepreneurship is a culture. The government has recognized it, and full-on efforts are there to create a culture of entrepreneurship within the ecosystem. Just by teaching, but just by saying that entrepreneurship is the best career option, not much can be achieved. But the stories of successes where people are making impact, people are generating wealth, people are creating employment opportunity is really going to change the culture and create the entrepreneurs of the future. At the same time, we have to also talk about the stories of the failures, which we should be doing very shortly, because so much can be learned from the stories of the failure. I think more can be learned from the stories of the failures than the successes. The Goa story has been very encouraging. If you look at the per capita number of startups for a small population, we are right up there. We are among the topmost. And we have both long-term and short-term goals for the state. And we have clearly laid this out. So before I close, I just want to narrate one scenario. I was just listening to what's happening. I was experiencing what's happening in one of the events in Mumbai. And there are a large number of unicorns in Mumbai. So what they have done is, because they have reached the top, the unicorns have come together. They have identified the next set of startups who could possibly become the next unicorns or the unicorns, forming a group and trying to pull them up. So today we have around 13 to 15, around 13 best startups from Goa, one of great startups from Goa. So maybe my humble request today is, can we all come together and see if we can pull up the next level of startups or the next generation of startups or next pool of startups and pull them up and make them as successful as us. Saying these few words, I will stop here. Thank you all for coming and creating the energy within the room, which will help us to be motivated throughout our journey.
Today we are here to celebrate Startup Day, National Startup Day, that is 16th of January, which is the launching day of Startup India initiative. So this event is being celebrated to mark and encourage the spirit of entrepreneurship and to promote the achievements of Indian startups, that is the success stories of Indian startups. Prasad has already mentioned it is not only the succeeding startups that we need to recognize, it's also the learnings from the failures that will help us promote and encourage more startups. And to commemorate this day, Department of IT along with Startup Cell has organized this entire day event wherein we had had a discussion, panel discussion, startup founders meet, and master classes, and so many things have happened already, culminating to the final stage where we are felicitating 13 startups who have tremendously worked very well in that particular field. To mention, in Goa, we have around 439 registered startups, and it has been increasing since COVID. After COVID, it has been increasing the registrations. And mostly the startups are in the field of travel, tourism, life sciences, IT services, food and beverages. And today we are felicitating 13 startups, out of which we are happy to announce that 5 of them have been supported by the government of Goa. And there's one more thing that we would want to announce here is we are entering into a non-financial memorandum of understanding with the HDFC Bank, wherein the bank happily is supporting through their CSR initiative, Parivartan, to bring more and more startups in the state of Goa. So we appreciate your efforts and involving DOIT as a part of the effort to bring in more support to the startup ecosystem in Goa. Thank you. And we would like to acknowledge the contribution of Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Goa Information Technology Professionals, Goa Technology Association, and Higher Education Department for facilitating coordination with the Institute Innovation Council and ESES in the promotion of startup ecosystem in Goa. So finally, I would want to conclude by saying that as we've gathered here, let us all recognize the power of startups in building the economy, creating jobs, and nurturing the growth of the state. So in this, let us all pledge to support and nurture the startup that will shape the future of Goa. The startup journey has already begun in 2016. Let us continue the journey and make it a success. Thank you.
We want to see our growth down the lane to come the growth. And if we boost these startups, then definitely employment will generate one, new ideas will come. And the future, the startups, sometimes I attended so many meetings with our minister. Some startups, some new youngsters, they are really coming with wonderful ideas. And the ideas are basically what? Which will reduce usage of paper, usage of manpower, and in that small amount, how much maximum we can give it to the society, how much maximum we can help the businesses. And unless we support these people, nothing can change. Otherwise, we will be with that old traditional system.
You could also scan the code coming up on the screens to receive the digest. And has been honored with the prestigious multi-brand EV Dealer of the Year award at the India EV Awards 2023 presented by Franchise India. V-Live has raised over 18 crores. This startup management. This milestone marks a significant startup. Over 20 crores, 25 crores of funding to deliver real world business. Customers in more than 100.
Every state starts talking and mentioning about the policies. Every state talks about how best they are. But when we went when we went back to the drawing board and started looking about how many actually have gone into disbursement mode, we realized that most of them were in black and white in paper, but the papers had not moved, and neither did the schemes move in many states. So today, as I stand here and I take the responsibility as a IT minister again under Dr. Pramod Sawant in 2022, this government coming in, I started visualizing the whole gap. 2019, we were out of the government, and then 2 years, we realized that there were a lot of things we had to catch. And we started realizing that a lot of more potential things that we needed to do to ensure the success of this particular policy. Every idea that the government wants to drive, we need two things. One is a good policy and second is a good driver. If we have the best of the policies and we don't have a good driver to drive that policy, that still remains in the books. So we started hunting and we realized that we needed a good team. Nabil, who's been my childhood friend, came in as a helping hand as a OSD in IT. And from there we started hunting, and then we started getting people like Prashant on board. And I'm very happy that in the last 1.5 years, the way we have moved in the startup area, the domain, we have found a lot of vibrancy, we have found a lot of things which were not there in the past, which the policy spoke, but actually to ground reality was not there. And I can see Prashant driving a lot of things in the startup area, which normally people, any government would only want success stories. Every government wants to talk only about success. But we have come here with only one thought: ki we need to drive this community in tune with the idea of our Prime Minister's Startup India campaign. And we realized that that potency to convert needs to be mentored, and whether it's a masterclass or the whole day spent to panel discussions or workshops, it's something that needs to be brought together. I think all of you all need to give a good round of applause to Prashant and his whole team for having put up a good. It's not only the National Startup Day, but it's the momentum that we have started picking up in the last few months, which I can see across the fraternity.